Hello guys, welcome into a tutorial on making my Crochet Island Mesh top pattern. So I'm going to be working through this pattern with you. This pattern will be available on my Etsy shop soon. I'm going to be making this gorgeous mesh top. Now this is going to be a made to measure pattern. So let me show you what you're going to need for supplies. You're going to need some soft cotton yarn, or any cotton yarn that you have would work. I'm going to be using for this tutorial the I Love This Cotton. This is a number 4 weight, medium weight yarn, soft cotton, 100% cotton. The yardage is 153 yards, 140 meters. So it all depends on your measurements and how much yarn you would need. The top we're going to make today is going to fit a small medium. In addition to your yarn, you're going to need scissors, a measuring tape, a number 4 millimeter hook, and a darning needle. So get all those ready. I don't know if you're going to need a stitch marker, but stitch markers are always handy to have. So grab your yarn and your supplies. We're going to be working through this pattern. So this is going to be a relatively basic, easy pattern for beginners. So some of the terminology that you're going to be using or stitches that you're going to need to know to make this pattern are slip stitches, chains, single crochet, half double crochet, skipping stitches, spaces, stitches, and turning chains. So those are the abbreviations. If you're not familiar with those stitches, maybe you can go watch one of my tutorials, easy tutorials on basic crochet stitches, and then come back to watch this tutorial. So we're going to get our yarn. Okay, so with your 4 millimeter hook, we're going to take our cotton yarn. We're going to make a slip knot. Leave yourself a little tail to weave in your end. Make a circle. Put the yarn through the circle. That creates this slip knot. Put your hook in the slip knot. And we're going to be working from the top of the neckline. So this is the top neckline going right across underneath your chin, underneath your neck. And so this should be pretty well consistent for most sizes. Okay, so we're going to do our foundation round is going to be chains. So we are going to chain up 30 for this neckline. Okay, and to do a chain, you just loop and pull through. Loop and pull through, and we're going to want to be really consistent with our chains, and that means to not have some really loose and really tight. We want them all to sort of look the same. So you're going to chain 30. So count your chains and make sure you have 30, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I have counted my chains, which are the V's, and I have 30 chains here. So this is how your chains should look. And you count each chain by counting these V's. Okay, so now for row 1, we're going to work down into our chain. And so we're going to do a half double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook, and we count the 3rd chain from the hook by counting the V's. So we have V1, 2, and 3. So this is where we're going to be putting our first stitch right into that 3rd V from the hook. And for half double crochet, we're going to loop our yarn. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, and we're going to insert here, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 chains on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 chains. Okay, so that is going to give us 2 stitches right together, because our turning chain is right here where we turned and counted 3, and then we have our half double crochet that went into the next stitch, so we have 2 stitches right close together. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip 2 stitches. So we're going to not go into the stitch, the chain that we did the half double crochet in. We're not going to count that one. We're going to count 2 empty chains, and we're going to skip those and we're going into the next one. So we're going to yarn over, skip 1, skip 2, and then we're going to put another half double crochet into that chain. So the third chain from the hook has a half double crochet, then we skipped 2, and then we put a half double crochet into the next chain. And now we're going to repeat that across. So we're going to chain 2, we're going to yarn over, we're going to skip 2 chains, and we're going to put a half double crochet in the next chain. We're going to chain 2, we're going to yarn over, we're going to skip 2 chains, and we're going to put a half double crochet into the next chain. So this is what your row 1 should be looking like so far. Chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 chains, put a half double crochet in that third chain, 2 chains, yarn over, skip 2, put a half double crochet into the next chain, chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 chains, and put a half double crochet into the next chain, chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 chains, put a half double crochet into the next chain, chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 chains, put a half double crochet into the next chain. Okay, that'll leave 3 chains on your hook. Okay, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to put a half double crochet into that very last chain from the hook, and then we're going to put 1 more half double crochet into that same last chain. Okay, so we just put 2 half double crochets into the very last chain of our row 1. This is what the ending of row 1 should look like. Okay, so that's going to be the start of our neckline, and you can hold it up to your neck and make sure that that is going across your collarbone, and that should be a good measurement for everybody to start with. Okay, so going on to round 2, we are going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we just chained 7 at the end. We're going to turn our work. Okay, and we're going to skip over this first chain 2 space that we have here. We're not going to put anything in this big hole. We're going to go into this second big hole here, and we're going to put a single crochet here in this chain 2 space. So 1 single crochet there. Then we're going to chain 7, we're going to skip this next big chain 2 space. We're not going to put one in the next one. We're going to skip over it and put it in the following one. So we're going to put a single crochet here. We're going to chain 7. And we're not going to put our single crochet in the next chain 2 space. We're going to skip over that and put it in the following one. So a single crochet into that chain 2 space. So this is what it's looking like so far. Chain 7, and we're going to skip over this next chain 2 space, and we're going to put a single crochet in the following chain 2 space. And then we're going to chain 7, and we're going to put, to match over here, we're going to put a single crochet into this turning chain space right here. So just put a single crochet into that turning chain space. So if you count your chain 7 spaces, you should have 5. So lay your work down and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chain 7 spaces. And that's how it should look at the end of round 2. And so for row 3, we're going to chain 10. Okay, so after we have done our chain 10 for the first part of row 3, we're going to turn our work, and then we're going to be working back through these chain 7 spaces. So we've just chained 10 and turned our work. We're going to put 1 single crochet into the first chain 7 space. Okay, so now we're going to chain 7, and we're going to place 1 single crochet into the next chain 7 space, and we're going to continue that across the row. So chain 7, we're going to put a single crochet into the next chain 7 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Place 1 single crochet into the next chain 7 space. Chain 7. Okay, so this is our last chain 7 space. So we're going to put a single crochet into that last chain 7 space. And then we're going to chain 7. Okay, we're going to put a double crochet into this last chain 7 space. So it's going right into that same last chain 7 space, and that is our increase. So if you put your work down and count your chain 7 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should have 6 chain 7 spaces. And that ends row 3. So for row 4, we're going to chain 10. So always at the beginning of our rows from now on, we're going to chain 10. We're going to turn our work. And we're going to put 1 single crochet into that first chain 7 space. We're going to chain 7, and put 1 single crochet into the next chain 7 space. And we're going to repeat that across the row. So chain 7, place 1 single crochet into the next chain 7 space, chain 7, we're going to place 1 single crochet into this next chain 7 space, chain 7, we're going to place 1 single crochet into the next chain 7 space. We've got 1 more chain 7 space here. We're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chains. We're going to place a single crochet into that last chain 7 space. Now here is our increase. So we're going to chain 7, and we're going to put a double crochet into that same chain 7 space. Okay, so if you put your work down at the end of round 4, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chain 7 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because every row we're adding 1 more chain 7 space. So for round 5, until your desired length, you're going to just continue repeating this last row over and over again. You're going to hold it up to your body, and this very last row is going to keep increasing. So hold it around your body and make sure that you leave a good 4 inches for your ties. So you don't want it so big that you don't have any room for the ties. So you don't want it touching behind you. You want to leave at least 4 inches at least for the back tie. So keep repeating, and I'll do another row with you. So row 5, we're going to just repeat. So we're going to chain 10 at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chains at the beginning of each row. Then turn your work. You're going to place 1 single crochet into the very first chain 7 space, chain 7, single crochet into the next chain 7 space, chain 7, remember to try to keep all of your chains the same tension so they look all the same. Single crochet into the next chain 7 space, chain 7, single crochet into the next chain 7 space, chain 7, one single crochet into the next chain 7 space, chain 7, one single crochet into the next chain 7 space, chain 7, and this is our last chain 7 space, so we're going to place 1 single crochet into the last chain 7 space. Then we're going to chain another chain 7, then we're going to place a double crochet into that same last chain 7 space. And that ends that row. You're just going to keep repeating. So after we finished row 5, we're going to count, and we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chain 7 spaces. So every row, this is going to increase your chain 7 spaces by 1. And make sure you're starting your rows with chain 10 and turning. And then at the end of your row, you're going to make an additional chain 7 and put a double crochet into that same last chain 7 space on each row. And that is how it should look so far. So just continue, and I will meet you. Let me see how many I did for my row. For my top, which was a small medium top, I did 14 rows. So just keep continuing until you hold it around your waist. So this is your neckline, and this is around your waist. So keep continuing with rows until your top is long enough and reaches behind you, and you still have about 4 inches to connect, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I have continued on making my rows, and you can count the amount of rows by placing your top down and counting these side spaces. So I'm not going to count this first neckline area here. I'm going to start counting with this chain 7 space. Actually, I'm going to count right here is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So if I count those 16 spaces, I've done 16 rows. Now this one, I think I did 14 when I was doing my sample of my small medium. So let's count these rows to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the one that I did for a small medium was 14 rows, but I wanted to see what the sizing would be doing 2 more rows. So I've done 16 rows, and we ended our last row by doing a double crochet at the end of the row. So we did our chain 7, and then we placed a double crochet into that same chain 7 space from the row before. So that's how we end the row. And if you just want to lay your top down, if you look at the front and the back, when you end the row and put your hook down here and you're looking at your top laying down in front of you, and you've got your neckline at the top, if you flip it over, that is the back side and this is the front side. If you need to put a stitch marker on the front side of your work, you can do that just to help you identify the front side of your work, but it's not necessary. But if that helps you, you can do that. So here's the front side of our work, and here's the back side of our work. It just looks a little bumpier on the back. So this is the front. So we've ended over here in this bottom right-hand corner. Okay, so here's where we ended with our last double crochet. So we're going to place 2 single crochets right over that double crochet. So 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets right over that last double crochet that we did, because at the end we're going to be making our strap here, and we're going to have 5 single crochets in front, and then we're just going to do 3 single crochets and meet up with this at the end. So just place 2 single crochets right directly over your double crochet stitch that you ended with there, like that. And then we're going to be working up our top, going up to our neckline. We're going to be placing 3 single crochets in every chain space going up the side of our top. Now, some of these chain spaces are going to be larger than the others because they were either the chain 10 or the double crochet stitch at the end of the row, but we're going to just put 3 single crochets in each of these spaces going up, and that is going to give a nice little tension to the edge of our top and even everything out. So place 3 single crochets in each of these spaces, chain spaces going up the side of your top like this. So you're going to be placing 3 single crochets in each of these chain spaces going up the side of your top, and this is going to be looking down at your top on the right side. So keep making 3 single crochets in each of these row spaces going up the side of your top. And like I said, this is going to give a nice tension and even everything out. And the larger you made your top, the more spaces that you're going to have. Okay, so I'm approaching the top. All right, so we are at the top. So for this last row here, the first sort of row that we did underneath the neckline. So we did our chain row, 1, 2, 3. So this very first row of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chain spaces here, that very top row that we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where there's 5 chain 7 spaces, we're just going to put 1 single crochet there in this row of chain 3 on the side. We're going to put 1 single crochet, and then in this row right here, we're just going to place 1 single crochet right over that. I think it was a half double crochet there, or chain space, turning chain or something. We're going to put 1 single crochet there. Okay, so that last stitch that we did was right between those 2 stitches, right between those half double crochets. Okay, now we're going to place 1 more single crochet sort of right here in this top corner. So it's basically in this chain space here. It's just going to get us to be right. We want our hook to start right here. So let me do that stitch again so you can see where I'm placing it. Right into this first chain 2 space. I'm just going to put a single crochet there. So it gets us right up to that top right corner for our neckline. That's where we want to be. So we put a single crochet here, a single crochet in between these 2 stitches here, and a single crochet here in the corner. And no matter how you do this, you just want to do it on the other side. So if you can't figure that out, just make it look nice like this. And then whatever you did here, you're going to do on the other side when we get to the other side. Okay, so for our neck straps, we're going to be starting on neck strap number 1 here. So we are going to be chaining 85. Okay, you're going to make your chains nice and consistent tension so your strap looks nice. So chain 85, that'll give you a nice length for your neck strap. If you find that you need a longer neck strap or a shorter neck strap, you can adjust these chains. I think 85 is a good chain measurement, but again, if you want longer straps, make longer chains. And if you want shorter straps, make less chains. So I just did 10. I'm going to continue doing 85 and I will meet you when I'm done chaining 85. 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. So I have just chained 85 for my first necktie. We're going to be doing slip stitches back through this necktie. If you want to go in the back bumps, you can. The back bumps are right here. I don't love to go into the back bumps. I just like to go into my stitches, and I do not go into the top of my stitches. I go right down into the center of my stitches. So I am picking up that entire stitch. Okay, so we are going to skip that first chain. We're going to go into the second V or the second chain from the hook right here. And we're going to do slip stitches. So insert your chain, pull your yarn through that stitch, and then through the loop on your hook. Okay, and we're going to be inserting into every single one of these V's, and I go right down the center. I don't get that top, just the top. I go right down into the center so I get the entire stitch, and just pull the yarn through all of those stitches. And we're going to just do slip stitches all the way down our chain. This is going to give us a nice looking tie here. Again, if you like to do your ties using the back bump or any other type of ties, you're more than welcome to do any other style tie that you like. I just think this is nice and quick and easy. I'm going slow right now to show you. And if it helps, hold your tie with your fingers to give your work some tension so it's easier. So just continue doing slip stitches all the way down in every single one of your chains, and I will meet you when we have reached the end of this tie. Okay, so I'm just continuing making slip stitches going all the way down my tie, number 1. That last one there. Okay, so if you're looking at your top, you've already done all of your side stitches, and we've created tie number 1. This is in the top right of our top, and here's our neckline going across here. Okay, so once you have finished making your tie number 1, let me get my tail out of here. So your tail is right underneath there. Just move it off to the side. So now we're going to be going across our neckline, and we're going to be placing 2 single crochets in each of these chain spaces. So place 2 single crochets into each of these chain 2 spaces going right across the top of your neckline. 2 single crochets, go to the next one, 2 single crochets, so place 2 single crochets going straight across the top of your neckline. Okay, just like that. Okay, so we have placed our single crochets going across our neckline, our second necktie right from this last stitch. So we just placed 2 single crochets in our last space, and we're going to start chaining 85 again for our chain number 2, for our necktie number 2. So I've just chained 10, but go ahead and chain 85, or the same amount of chains that you did for this necktie. If you felt you needed less or more chains, you're going to duplicate whatever you did on the other side. So I just did 10, I need 85, so I will continue making my chain, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. So I completed 85 chains for my second necktie. And again, we're going to be skipping the first chain, and we're going to be going into the second chain with a slip stitch. So insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull it through the stitch and pull it through the loop on your hook. That first one can be a little tricky. And then make sure that you're pulling your tie with your fingers to give yourself some tension once you get it a little going. So place 1 slip stitch, or whatever you made for your tie. If you prefer doing the back bump, then whatever you did on your other necktie, you're going to make the same thing here. Now once we get a little farther here, I will be able to hold it with my thumb here and pull it and give myself some tension, and that will make it go quicker. If you pull your chain with your 2 hands while you're inserting your hook, that'll make it go faster. So you won't be trying to work on it like this. So hold your tie, your chain, so it'll give you some tension. And just continue doing slip stitches or whatever you did for your other one, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I have been continuing doing my slip stitches down my chain. Okay, so just like we did over on the other side, we're going to do 1 single crochet in that top corner, and then we're going to do a single crochet here in the center of these 2 half double crochets here, single crochet, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet around the end of this row. So we did 3 single crochets just to tidy up this top and to make it the same as we did over the other side. Okay, and now we're going to be working down. If you put your top down, you should have 2 straps at the top, and this is the top of your neckline. And now we're going to be working down the left side of our top. We're going to put 3 single crochets in that first chain space. We're going to put 3 single crochets in the next row space, 3 single crochets in the next row space. So this is the chain spaces on the end of our rows, and we're going to be placing 3 single crochets in each one going down. It's going to give us a nice tension on the side of our top, and it's going to even everything out. So each one of these side holes going down your rows, you're going to place 3 single crochets in every single one until we get to the bottom, and then I will show you what we're going to do for our very last hole for our ties. Okay, so we placed 3 single crochets in every single one of these chain spaces going across, whether they were the double crochets or the chain spaces. We put 3 single crochets in each one of these side spaces. Now this is the one right before the last one. So we are in the row right before the end, so we're going to put 3 single crochets in that last ending of that row. Okay, so we put 3 single crochets in all of these side spaces. This is the corner of our left. Okay, if we're looking down at our top on the left side, this is one of our, it's going to be our waist tie. So we are going to place 5 single crochets in this chain space. 4, 5. Okay, so we placed 5 single crochets here in this corner, the very bottom left corner space, the bottom of our top. Okay, and now we are going to be chaining. I think for the back ties, we don't need them as long. Okay, so once we have finished our 5 single crochets in this last space of our row on the left side looking down at your top, we're going to be making the left side tie, which is tie number 3. And I think 75 is a good chain amount because you're almost reaching the back, so these don't need to be as long, but if you find that you need a longer chain, then you can just chain more. If you need a shorter chain, then chain less. But we are measuring this around our back, and we're leaving just a few inches, so we really don't need a long tie, but you can experiment. I am going to do 75, so I'm going to chain 75. So I just did 10 there to get started. I will continue with my chain of 75 and I will meet you at the end. Okay, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. Okay, so I have made 75 chains. If you need to stop the video to catch up, just hit that pause button. Okay, so we have chained 75, and again, just like with the other one, we're going to skip the first V or the first chain, and we're going to go into the second chain from the hook with a slip stitch. So insert your hook all the way through, pull the yarn through the stitch, and then through the loop on your hook. That first one is always going to be the most difficult. And then continue doing slip stitches all the way down, back down your chain. And then once it gets long enough, you can hold it with your fingers, and then it will be easier for you to do your slip stitches in. You want to keep consistent tension with your loops and chains. Okay, so once it's long enough to hold with your thumb and your fingers here, just hold that chain tight, and that will help you to go into those stitches a lot easier. So continue doing slip stitches all the way down your chain, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I have been making my slip stitches all the way down my chain. And you want to make sure that you do not twist your chain, so just make sure you're going straight down. Especially at the end, you don't want to twist it. So slip stitch all the way into that last stitch right there. There's that last one. Make sure that you have your top to where you just did your side, okay? And this is going to be looking down at our top on the left side, okay? So when we started, we did 5 single crochets here in this last space. Okay, and this is going up the side of our top, and this is the bottom edge of our top here. Okay, So now we're going to match what we did over here. So we're going to be placing 5 single crochets into this last same big space, chain space. So we did 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 single crochets there in this last space, and it's going to look like this. Okay, here's our tie. Okay, now we are going to be working on the bottom edge of our top. Okay, so going along the bottom edge of our top, we're going to be placing 5 single crochets in each of these chain spaces, this very last row. So place 5 single crochets. And then skip right over this single crochet, go to the next one, place 5 single crochets, skip over that single crochet, go right over to the next space with 5 single crochets, and just continue placing 5 single crochets in every single one of these chain spaces. And the more rows that you did, the more of these you're going to do because you're going to have more chain spaces. So just continue putting 5 single crochets in every one of these bottom chain spaces. Until you get to that last corner space, and I'll show you how to do this last corner space. Okay, I am in the chain space right before, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here is our last bottom right chain space, and we already did 2 single crochets over here, remember that? So we're going to do 5 single crochets before we do our last strap. So place 5 single crochets into this last corner, 4, 5, 5, okay. So we just did our 5 single crochets into this last corner space, and we have our strap number 4 to make. And just like we did over here, we did 75, but if you did a different chain amount, then do the same thing on your bottom chain. So we are going to do, I'm going to chain 75. Okay, I did 10 to start. I will continue doing my chain of 75, pause the video, and I will meet you at the end of this strap. Okay, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. Okay, so we've chained 75 or whatever your same amount was on your other bottom tie. And again, we're going to be skipping that first chain or first V. We're going into the second chain with a slip stitch. So insert your hook, pull through your yarn, and then pull through the loop on your hook and continue making slip stitches in all of these chains down your tie, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so I've been doing my slip stitches all the way back down my chain. Here's your last chain right here. Okay, now to make this even, because we did 5 before we did our chain, and when we started our trim, we did 2 here, so we're going to only put 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. So after we placed our 3 single crochets, we're just going to slip stitch to join into that very first single crochet that we did, and then pull your yarn through, cut your yarn and pull it through, and then you're going to use your yarn needle just to weave in your ends and clean up that stitch. Okay, so you're just going to go around the back and you're going to make a little knot there to secure your work. Okay, and just cut off your end, and then you're going to find your end that we did in the very beginning, which would be the top right corner of your top, and you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to grab your darning needle and just weave in your end. I always like to make a little knot somewhere just to make sure that my work is not going to come undone. And then you're going to weave in your ends. So just find a place back there to go 2-3 passes. I like to do at least 3 passes in different directions. Okay, and you can remove your little stitch marker if you used one to designate the front. Okay, so we're going to be adding our fringe, and I forgot to tell you the name of this yarn, I think at the very beginning. I am using the colorway City Beat. And again, I love this cotton. To show you how much I've used so far, I still have this much left of my skein. So we are going to be making our fringe next. Now, fringe is optional, so I hope you have been trying this top on because it is made to measure. So anytime you're doing a made to measure, you're trying it on as you go. And I did, okay, not counting that first, I'm counting in this first space right here, this first chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 rows for this one. It is running around, it's running around 10.5 inches. Again, it depends on if you're going to stretch it out. 10.5 inches this way. Again, I'm not stretching it like this, which you will do on your body. And then to just sort of give you a measurement going across, it is around 20, maybe 28 inches, something like that, going across the bottom. This is our top. This is the front of our top. This is the top neckline up here. And this is the bottom. So we're just going to put fringe if you want to. Fringe is optional. So I'm going to be putting fringe on this bottom row here in these spaces, these single crochet spaces that we did. So you can use your ruler. I have a fringe maker. I will put the link of the ones that are similar online right now. This one I bought 25 years ago and it's no longer available, but you can buy similar versions that are just flat instead of this cylinder shape. They all work the same. So I'm going to be making 12-inch pieces of yarn. You can use a ruler and you can measure out 12 inches of yarn and then cut it as you go. I'm just going to use my fringe maker. Again, I'm going to put a link of similar ones that you can purchase on Amazon. So this is giving me 12-inch strips of yarn. Again, you can just measure it out individually with a ruler, or you can sort of pinch your yarn every 12 inches with your fingers and do this as well. All right, so I'm just going to show you an example. So I cut it like this. And again, this is giving me 12-inch pieces. If you wanted shorter fringe, you can make shorter pieces. So I have my 12-inch pieces of yarn here. So I'm gonna skip over these 2 ending corner spaces that has our ties coming out of, and I'm gonna start in the next space, and that's where I'm gonna put my fringe. So you wanna take your hook, and you wanna insert your hook in one of your single crochet spaces. You're going to fold your yarn in half like this, and you're going to insert your hook in the space that you want your fringe. You're going to hook your yarn with your hook, pull it through this stitch, and you're going to insert your hands in your fingers into that folded end, and you're going to line up your fringe, your yarn. Okay, this is the end that is not folded. We've got our fingers in the folded end, and we've got our fingers on the end that is not folded. We're going to pinch the ends that are not folded, and we're going to just pull them through that hole like this. And you're just going to continue making adding your fringe. So I like to grab 2 pieces. You can do more or less. I'm going to skip a stitch and then insert my hook. Put your fingers in that folded loop, even out your fringe, even it up, pinch it with your fingers and pull it through that loop like this. And you can trim your fringe as needed. Again, I'm taking 2 pieces. You can do more or less. I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going every other stitch on the bottom. Line up your fringe, pull through with your fingers. Okay, so just keep continuing to add your fringe along the bottom end if you're adding fringe along the bottom edge of your top. So continue adding your fringe. You can trim as needed, and I will meet you when your fringe is finished. Okay, here's our last 2 pieces. Okay, so we have added all the fringe to our bottom edge. All right, doing 16 rows. This is how much yarn I have left. So I would say anything more than 16 rows, you're going to have to buy another skein of yarn. So let's go steam our fringe. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Here's the top that we made. I love how it's fitting. So thank you for watching, guys. And if you like this tutorial, please leave a kind comment. And again, you can make any size. You just keep continuing to make it as long as you need. Isn't that so nice? And the longer you make it, the more it'll come to the back. So it gets larger as you do your rows. Love it. So here's a close-up of the back straps, the neckline. That's so pretty. You can wear this over a swimsuit, another top, anything you wanted to. Isn't that so beautiful? So guys, I hope you love this tutorial, and I will see you on the next video.